This conference will now be recorded.
So as you people know that we connected the day before yesterday for a single session where we had a high level walkthrough on SQL Server, MSBI, Power BI. We just understand the responsibilities of a SQL Server, responsibilities of MSBI, responsibilities of a Power BI. And yesterday we started the first session of a SQL Server. So this course completely kind of a SQL Server development course or SQL development or a BI developer data engineer related course, not a targeting to database administrator, and it is purely SQL course or SQL Server course, whatever you are looking for, data analyst with SQL, whatever. So as part of yesterday's session, we discussed mainly a couple of things, two or three things. One is we had a discussion different drawbacks that we have. We understand that security is one of the problem, integrity is another problem. Then after consistency, accuracy, we discussed a couple of problems and we understand that those problems are not there with the databases. Then after I told that there are two softwares which you need to install. One is a server software, the second one is a client software. Then after I showcased you people how to connect that server from a client software. Till here we are done. And Yadav and Anand Singh joined. Mujib will continue from tomorrow. And Priyam, so there is, you didn't much like missed much. We will share that video. But anyways, we are going to conduct a demo again also. So as part of today's session, we are going to understand. So after connecting to a server from a client, what are the different windows that you can see or what you require and how you are going to work there, we are going to understand. So I'm switching back to another mission. I switched back to another mission and I shared my screen. Now what I mentioned yesterday is you need to install a SQL Server software. Then after you need to install an SSMS software. SSMS, we used to call it as a management studio. This is a client software. That client software, once you install, that software, then it is going to ask you server type, server name, authentication. These things yesterday I mentioned. Server type is nothing but you have a 4 types of a servers called database engine, analysis services, reporting services, integration services. If you want to work with database and if you want to perform any operations on a relational databases, you need to connect to a server called database engine. Server name is the name of a mission and you can specify the authentication and click on connect. Till here we covered yesterday and I will share that video also. Now today's story going to start from here onwards. Today's things are going to start from here. The first point is there is a window called Object Explorer. This Object Explorer is a window which is going to showcase the list of connections that you made, the list of servers that you connected. It is going to showcase. Now, I already connected to one server, and if you want to connect to a multiple servers, you can connect it. There is no limit with that type of servers and number of servers. Then after, as I mentioned, you are going to learn a SQL Server development. This complete course you are going to connect with only database engine. So I already connected to a database engine. The first one is a database engine. Then after, you connected to a server. There you have the capability to see all the databases that you already have. There is an option called databases here. Whenever you expand, you are able to see a system databases. Some database snapshots are there. The first two folders are a default folders that you are going to get. And whatever you created, whatever your team is created, all the databases will be available here. Like yesterday, like after almost many years, many months, I installed this software. So just tested. So once you connect to a server, you are going to work on a database. All the databases that are available on that server will be listed here. At this point of time, there is a one user defined database called A is there. That is okay. The next point is you connected to a server, you know the database. Now, if you want to write any query, if you want to write any SQL statement, you are going to use a new query window. New query window. That new query window, based on the server that you connected. So whenever you mention new query window, an editor will open. So this is the place you are going to write your SQL, you are going to learn your SQL. You can write the queries. Even yesterday I just mentioned a command to display something. You can write any command here and you can click on execute. So based on the demand, based on the need, you are going to create something, you are going to delete something, you are going to get something, you are going to analyze something. As part of SQL, why you came here for SQL is SQL is a communication medium or a language to analyze the data. In a latest technology terminology, with the help of an SQL, you can process the data. That is what an objective of your learning. So to process the data, to analyze the data, you need to interact with the data. That interaction will happen through this window. That can be insertion or updation, deletion, modification, transformation, processing, whatever. You are going to interact with data by using this window. And whatever you write here, you can select that and you can click on execute. The result will be displayed in the bottom. Now, what you can write here and what you are going to execute is, for that, we are going to use a language called and SQL. SQL. We used to call it as a structured query language. That is a language which we are going to use to interact with the data from a databases. That SQL, so I just shared my screen. By using an SQL language, you are going to communicate with the databases inside a database server. That SQL language is mainly divided into 5 sub-languages. Those will be DDL, DML, DQL, DRL, DCL. So, data definition language, which contains create, alter, drop. Data manipulation language, insert, update, delete, truncate. So data query or data retrieval, you have a select, and a DCL, data control language, and a transaction control language. TCL, transaction control language. So where you are going to work with begin transaction, end transaction, save point transaction, and another one here we are going to work with grant, revoke, with grant. So SQL is a main language where you are going to communicate with the data by using this language. That language has a 5 technical divisions: DDL, data definition language. What it is going to do is, with the help of a DDL, we are going to work with database objects. The structure of an object we are going to work. So whenever you go for an interview, people will ask, what are database objects? Database objects are tables, views, indexes, constraints, procedures, functions, triggers. So these are all part of a database. A database means it is going to contain a different objects. Those objects are going to be created, deleted, modified with the help of a DDL, data definition language. All the objects are going to be created, deleted, and modified, which we used to call it as altered, with the help of data definition language. The next one is data manipulation language. This is going to be dedicatedly working with the tables or views. So data manipulation language is going to work with the data inside a table. So it is going to work with data inside a table. Here you have a 4 commands. One is insert, update. Insert means it is going to insert the data. Update means it is going to modify the data. Delete means it is going to remove the data. And a truncate means it is going to delete the data. We are going to understand the difference. Then after DQL or DRL, data definition language, DQL or DRL, data querying language or data retrieval language, which is nothing but to see the data, to analyze the data, we are going to use a command called select. Then after DCL is nothing but data control language. So here we are going to provide a permissions to the users with the help of grant or a revoke. Then after transaction control language is there, which is nothing but you can work with the transactions called like by using a rollback or a commit or a begin and end transaction. So you have these are the different commands that we have with SQL. So SQL is a language. With that you are going to communicate with the database server. To communicate with that, we have a different commands are there. Those are organized into DDL, DML, DQL, DCL and a TCL commands. Now, based on yesterday or today, you understand that there is a server which is capable of taking a multiple requests and respond back. There is a client called SSMS where you are going to connect to a server and you are going to write whatever you want and you are going to execute. Now, once you connected to a server, the first thing what you need to understand is you need to understand about a database. Understand about a database. So you have a data in a databases generally. So once you connect to a server, if you want to get the data, you need to connect to a specific database. Now we already connected to a server. Now we need to connect to a specific database. So in my environment, so here we connected to a server. This one database called user defined database called A is there. There are two types of databases. One is a system defined databases. The second one is user defined databases. System defined databases will be available here. Those are having a dedicated functionalities we'll discuss now. And the user can create their own databases. How to create a database is nothing but in order to create a database, first you need to connect to a server. We already connected. You need to open a query window. That is also done. Now, to create a database, you need to follow this syntax: create database name. Create a database name. This is what you need to follow. So whenever you follow that one, create database, I just mention it as a demo DB. Whenever I mention a demo DB and whenever I execute it, click on execute. A database will get created. If you want to verify, select here, refresh it. Observe here, there is a database came. Similarly, you can create any number of databases based on your business requirement. So I'm just mentioning a database. I'm just mentioning it as a test database. Select it and execute it. Now again, refresh it. So like this, you can create any number of databases. Or if you are new to writing a query on a databases, right click on it, mention a new database. Whenever you mention a new database, so here it is asking what database name you want. I want to mention it as a test db2. Click on OK. So there is another database got created. You can see the test db2. So either you can write a query there by selecting a new query, or you can right click on the databases and you can specify what database that you want. You just need to mention the database name. Now in a slow motion, observe testdb3 I mentioned. You can see in the below there are two files are there. So whenever I mention on top name, below database files called testdb3 log2 are getting. So what do you mean by a database? Means a database is nothing but a file. That a file, in order to make you understand, it is going to display in a different way with SSMS. But in reality, it is going to be a file. A database means a file. So whenever you create a database, you are going to get two files. One file, we used to call it as primary data file. The second one, we used to call it as a log file. Or the first one, we used to call it as master data file. The second one, we used to call it as a log data file. What this primary or MDF is going to contain is, it is going to contain all the objects that you created. Previously I mentioned objects means a set of things. Whatever you create, whatever the data that you updated or inserted, everything will be available here. Database means what a database can hold, that is going to hold here in this file. What a log file is going to contain is, it is going to contain all the transactions that are performed on the database. It is going to contain that. So whenever you create any database, two files you created, MDF, LDF. MDF is going to hold the objects and data. LDF is going to contain all the transactions that you made on that one. Similarly, there is a property called initial size and a auto growth. Initial size and auto growth. Initial size is nothing but a database initially with what size you want to create. By default 8 MB you have there. Then after auto growth or max size is nothing but once the 8 MB is filled, how much you want to add a space. We cannot say that 100 TB, right? I don't want to reserve a complete memory for this database, even though if I use or not. Even though if we use or not, I don't want to block it. So what we are going to do is we are going to specify initially what is the size of a file, size of a database. Whenever that is going to fill, automatically we are going to add. Till what size you are going to add, you have an option. You want to grow the file, you want to enable or not. First of all, once the size is filled, you want to automatically increase the size of a database or not. If yes, what is the limit? Till what limit you want to extend? Unlimited or limited? And automatically how much space you want to add, how many MB, or what is the percentage for the existing space. You want to add 10 more percent, 20 more percent, you can specify. So that you are going to do, and then after these all files are going to get created here in this path. In this path, you can see that there are many files are there. A log, demo db log, master log. So test db log. Similarly, every file is having a 2 files here. So you can create a database by using a create database name, or you can create a database by right click and create a database. Whatever you do, a 2 files will get created. This is what a database. But to make you understand, to make you work with easy way, that is going to display here like this. A folder under another folders, and each folder you have a separate folders. In an organized way it is showcasing. Once, like let's assume if you don't want a database, you just need to use a drop database name, select it, execute it. It is executed. Now you can see that automatically the 2 files got deleted, which contains a and a underscore log. So whenever you create a database, 2 files will come, and whenever you delete a database, 2 files will go. And whenever you connect to a server, this database file is going to showcase in a structured way. Now, this is how you are going to create a user-defined databases. In a live environment, we are going to work with a user-defined databases only. This is how you are going to create. Once you create that one, so now what happened is you created, like you connected to a from a client, you connected to a server. In that server, you are able to create a database, or you are able to see the databases, right? You can create or you are able to see the databases which you already have. So what you need to do is you need to enter into the database and write a further queries. Enter into the database and write a further queries. So how to select a specific database and how to write a command is nothing but, so here, like here, there is an option. There is an option in the top. You are able to see all the system defined databases. Along with that, user defined databases called testdb, testdb2, demodb. These are the databases that you created. If you want to communicate with any database, you have three options are there. One option is select a database, write a query. Select a database and write a query. At that time, what is going to happen is, whatever you execute here, that will be executed on this server, on this database. So now, next time if I want to write any query, I need to select this one. Observe here, whatever we selected, that is changing here. So whenever you connect to a one server, you will have a multiple databases. To work on a single specific database, you need to select an option here, a database. Or whenever you execute something here, where that query is going to execute, you can observe from here. This is the database, this is the server. This is one way. The another way is, you have an option called use database name. There is a command called use. There is a command called use. Observe here at what database that we are now. We are at a testdb. Now without changing this, I will change that one. Use demodb. Run it. You are able to change that one to demodb. Similarly, testdb2, you can change it. So you can change it, a database from here, or you can change the database by using a use command. When this query window opened for this specific server, there are some scenarios like you have multiple servers connected. At that time, what you can do is straight away select a database what you want, right click, new query. You see that a testdb2 came. Similarly, right click, new query, demodb came. So whatever you write here, that will be executed against that specific database. You are able to see, but how you will believe that one? How you are going to believe that one? Let me write a very small script to believe that. So I'm just creating a table. Create a table called a test. I'm just creating a very small table and I'm executing here. So you don't need to worry about like what syntax that I written and everything. You can understand that I'm going to create a one table. Whenever I execute this one, I said this is going to execute against a demo database. Click on execute. It is saying that executed successfully. Let's refresh this one. Let's go to demo DB, a tables. You have a table called text. Similarly, go to test DB, tables. You don't have any table. Similarly, go to test DB2, DB2. You don't have a table. So where it is there as part of demo DB because you executed this query on a demo DB. So whenever you change this one to test DB and whenever you execute this command, whenever you refresh now, you are able to see. So in order to write any command, in order to create anything, in order to delete anything, in order to modify anything, in order to communicate with anything, you need to clearly point out the database. You need to clearly point out that database as part of your query window. So what we observed so far here is we just observed from a client called SSMS, how to connect to a server, I said if you are authenticated, it will allow you to enter. Once you enter, you will have a databases. We observed how you can see the databases, where the databases will be there, or how to create a database. You understand. Create database name, or right click on databases, create a database. You understand how to delete a database, how to target a specific database, how to write a query. You observed. So now what we done finally is we connected, we targeted a database, we written a query. So what is the complete course that you need to understand is, as part of your complete course, what you can do with this database. So what are all the things that you can create? What are all the things that you can work? Everything you are going to understand by targeting a specific database. If you are good with one database, the same thing you are going to do at other databases also. So you don't need to think much. Outside of a database, you are not going to do anything. That whatever you do, that is part of a database administrator is going to do. We are not accountable for that. What you need to do is, once you connect it to a database, how to create a table. In order to create a data table, you require data types. And once you create a table, how to insert the data, how to delete the data, how to update the data, how to retrieve the data, how to modify the data, and different things you are going to learn. So now, user defined databases are going to create like this. Create database name. Similarly, there are 4 predefined databases are there. There are 4 predefined databases are there. Those are You can see that a system databases. These are the default databases that you are going to have. One is master, model, MSDB, a temp DB. Master database, it is the heart of a database engine. It is going to contain all the configuration that is required to run database engine. It contains all the user names, login names, and a configuration to run this database engine, complete engine. So if someone delete this master database, your database engine will not work. So all configuration that is required, all the metadata, all those like super users data or users data will be available here. Based on this one only, the complete database engine works. The second one is model database. Model database is kind of a template. You observed creating a couple of databases called DemoDB, TestDB, TestDB2, and whenever we create the database, there is a lot of folder structure came. Observe here, a TestDB, database diagrams, tables, views, external resources, synonyms, programmability, service broker, blah 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 blah. A lot of things came. Who told to create that one? Why it is creating? And if you observe here, programmability, there are many procedures. Many procedures are available here. Many procedures are there. Whatever the new database that you created, you are going to get a many procedures, many functions, many default things you are getting. Who is going to tell to create that one? That configuration is available as part of model database. If you want to understand, let's do some magic here. Like I am running the same create table test under a model database. You can observe that a model database is going to contain a test database. Now, create database test3. I just created another database. This time, couldn't just a second. You can see that a database got created. A database got created. Now, verify the database. That is test3. As part of the database, go to tables. You are able to see that by default table is there this time. In a previous scenarios, we created a database, on top of it we created a table. But this time, automatically a table came. Why? Because this is there as part of a model database. A model database is going to reference for a new database. Whatever you have here, those will be created as part of a new physical copy whenever you create a new database. So model database is a reference for a new database. Then after, there is a database called TempDB. TempDB. That TempDB, generally, it is a temporary database which is going to get created whenever you establish a connection. So whenever you connected, a temporary database is going to get created. So generally, whenever you are writing a queries, whenever you are performing a group bias, or whenever you are writing any like SQL statement on a database, it is the place where it is going to perform all that additional transformations. Let's assume you want to perform a group by, and let's assume you want to perform a sorting. So it is the place where it is going to perform a temporary operations, and it is going to hold the cache. So it is specific to a user. So whenever a user connected, a specific database will be created, and for whatever the transactions or a transformation that they are going to do, it will come to this place, and from here it will be presented in the front end. MSDB, this is the database which is going to hold the information related to jobs. SSIS, there is SQL Server Agent jobs are there. That job related configuration, that job related information will be available here as part of MSDB. These are the 4 predefined databases that you are going to have for your server. On your server, 4 databases will be there. Master database, which contains all the configuration that is required to run a database engine. Model database, it is a template for a new database. A temporary database is going to get created whenever a new session is established by user. And then after, MSDB, it is a place it is going to contain the information related to ETL jobs, job related configuration and everything. These are the predefined databases that we have. Along with that, you can create whatever the databases that you want by following a create a database name, and those will be available under databases. So you can create with the help of a create database, and you can drop that one, you can remove that one by using a drop database name. Whenever you connect to any database, you are going to see tables, views, external resources, synonyms, programmability, storage, security, and all those things. The next level point that you need to understand is from a client, as we understand how to troubleshoot if you are unable to connect. We understand how to connect to a server. Once you connect to a server, you have a databases, user defined databases. You can create whatever you want, and you created one thing. Let's assume you created this one. So now inside that, the first point that you are going to do is you need to create a table. You need to create a table. Generally, the table is going to contain a columns. Table is going to contain a columns. In order to create a table, as it is going to contain the columns, and a column is going to contain a concept called a data type. Data type. data type. For every column, you need to provide a data type, which means, as we discussed yesterday, it is going to maintain the integrity by allowing only related data, whatever business expecting. So the next action is we need to understand how to create a table, and we need to understand what are the different types of data types that you have. Once you understand the data types and creating a table, so once you create, what you are going to do, you are going to insert the data, you are going to retrieve the data, you are going to modify the data, you are going to update the data, and you are going to do a lot of things what an SQL can do. That is what in a plan. So the next topic is data types and how to create a table. So how to create a table, you can follow this syntax like create, a table, table name, and you need to specify the column name and a data type. It is a mandatory to provide a data type. Like that, how many columns you require, you need to mention that. And then after, for last column, you don't require a column after that. And other than that, you need to provide everything comma separated. This is the syntax that you are going to follow. But in order to create, we require a data type concept. So we'll discuss the data types tomorrow, day after tomorrow. If it is not going to sufficient tomorrow, it will be continued for day after tomorrow. That is the first point that you need to understand. Till here, whatever we discussed, anyone has any questions? Let me summarize in a 1 minute of time. We discussed that, like as we already yesterday discussed how to connect with a server. We understand how to write a query and where to write a query, how to create a database, how to delete a database by using a two ways, what is an MDF, what is an LDF, where that is going to get created, what are the system defined databases, and what is the functionality of it. This is what we discussed. We are going to understand regarding the data types, and then after we are going to understand how to create a tables, and we are going to continue. Till here, anyone has any questions? Yadev? If you are speaking, I'm unable to hear you. Anand Singh? Thank you. And Priyam, how far you are comfortable, Priyam? Whatever I had a discussion.
I'm not sure, Srinivas. To be frank, I could able to catch up a few things, but few things I was missing out. So probably I
So
need
that is
to
why,
go first class.
yes, I will.
That be
I,
helpful for me.
so normally, like generally, like even if I wanted to learn anywhere, I want to start from the first day. Okay, so we already had set that expectation in our mind. So in that scenario, it will be a bit difficult. So what I will do is I will share that video and this video also, and you can go ahead. And we are not done anything fast. We went very slow, and the story is very slow. We gone through, and you will be comfortable. And if required, we will take an action. Yes, Yadav, you are trying to speak something. It is clear. You
Yeah,
said
yeah,
okay.
it's clear now. Yeah, it's clear. Sorry, my
Okay.
speaker had problem. No, it's okay.
Okay. So that's it from my end for an SQL. And everyone, please rejoin immediately on the same link for a Power BI classes.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you.